All right. Well, first of all, do I believe in free will? I mean, strictly speaking, I don't. I don't believe in free anything if the word free is taken absolutely. On the other hand, I do believe in choice. I believe in willpower. I believe in restrained will. And often this is what people mean by, free will. Is there anything at all? I don't believe in determinism. So I do believe in willpower. And often this means that, I'm on the free will side of this debate, even though I have to qualify what can possibly be meant by the word free. There is some degree of freedom, in my opinion. Now, in terms of the will coming from the parts, yes, I'm a reductionist. I do not believe that you get properties that emerge without there being some component, physical quality for them to emerge from. Now, it doesn't mean that what emerges is the same in character as a human mind understands the character of it as the parts. But, if a flower is beautiful, that beauty comes from the chemicals. It does not mean it zips out of the ether into being. It means that there's some properties of chemicals so that if they're arranged in a particular way, that they can appear beautiful to the human mind, right? It doesn't mean that the carbon and the oxygen and the hydrogen in that flower are in themselves beautiful, but it does mean they have some sort of components that can contribute to the beauty. For example, they have the you know characteristic of reflecting light in certain ways. You know, uh, a fire is beautiful. The parts of the chemistry in the fire have the ability to combine chemically and release the light that we find beautiful. So I don't believe that these parts have consciousness. What you're talking about is consciousness. They don't have a will to survive. The will is, for example, undirected, and as such, it's quite different from a living will. But to eliminate that possibility, then you would want to look down at those parts and see how their interactions are mechanically determined, and they're not. Okay. Now, if you were to take some sort of willful agent, some animal, and get that animal in a situation where it doesn't get any of its sensory inputs, but it still had motor function, and it's in a space with its body that it can't sense that space. Now it still might be moving its arm around and grasping things and getting a hold of objects and dropping them. And what kind of behavior would we expect to see in that? Well, I would expect it to be what? Random, right? It would have no information to choose one thing versus another. It would just be just as likely to pick up a tack as it is to pick up an M&M, and just as likely to drop it right away as to hold on for a second. Okay, but that would still be will. So a baby uh, seems to show signs of will, a newborn baby, and yet it doesn't show a lot of signs of deliberation, right? Now we see in quantum mechanics the inability to make deterministic predictions from the mechanics. Um, I don't see evidence that that is will, but I do see a window there where, yeah, this is what we're looking for, some sort of element of choice, but unconscious because it's not a complicated enough system to have the information feedback, which makes will into conscious or living will. Okay. But I don't see, even if will is an illusion, if there's nothing free at all about it, it's just a machine writing a narrative about a determined series of events, it would still have to be true that that phenomena could be explained by the interaction of its parts. Okay, and that is my kind of reductionism, that a phenomena could be explained in the interaction of its parts. And a big issue here is that when we say that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, we have to realize what we mean by sum. Because if by sum we mean, well, we're just going to add up the contents in an unordered way and find out the sum, then we're just going to have sum totals of those contents, right? So the contents of coal and of diamond are the same. So we're going to say, oh, well, the sum of the parts is the same. Those are therefore the same. Well, no, they're not the same in that sense of sum. But if we mean everything that contributes, including the arrangement of the material, then yes, it has to be all of the parts in a particular arrangement, not just in any arrangement, but in a particular arrangement where, those features can add up, cancel out, and interact in whichever ways to produce the phenomena that we're studying. So hopefully that explains a little bit what you were asking about.